Stay tuned for this video. We're going to recap on day 4 of the Craig Wright Satoshi trials, make some predictions, and actually the who won on round 3 with Wright on the stand. So stay tuned for this. Really interesting stuff happened today. First, I'm going to make a prediction that round 3 went to COPA. And however, there's some really, it was a close margin, but I will say that I would have to give this round to COPA, to be completely honest, and a couple reasons as to why. So one of the things that came up today was the court. Wright was on a tangent. You know, the attorney for COPA was asking Craig to narrow in on some questions, and Wright went off on a tangent on a few different on subjects. And one of the Wright claimed that the opinions that Madden had made in his report were actually not even opinions at all. They weren't even qualified for opinions because they hadn't met the elements of being an expert witness report. And the elements for an expert witness report, according to Wright today on the stand, were going to be where you had to actually demonstrate, the expert had to demonstrate the test and the procedures that were followed. So here's the test, here's the procedures that I followed, and then here was the outcome of that test. Therefore, I draw this conclusion and opinion. Wright's claim is that the report goes from introduction to opinion conclusion. It's not even an opinion, according to Wright. So this was really argued back and forth with COPA's attorney and Wright. And while Wright may have a valid point, what the court said, and this is the reason why I'm giving the day to Wright, to COPA, is that Wright needs to focus on the opinions, because the court may rely on these opinions unless they're stricken. Meaning that Wright was trying to focus in and saying that there are no opinions. They're not even there. They didn't follow the particular test protocol and show the actual procedure they used to draw this conclusion, so they aren't even qualified as opinions. The court literally corrected him on that. And not to say that the court was right or wrong, but the court saying, listen, Dr. Wright, you really should focus in on these opinions, okay? Because if I let those in, I'm going to be considering them and relying on them. This is a big wake-up call, realizing that if those opinions get in, Wright's in trouble. Wright's in trouble, okay? And here's why. One of the things that also came up, Wright's, the cross-examiner for COPA, he kept asking Wright if his expert rebutted the reports and opinions from Madden. Wright wasn't answering this question directly. He was demurring to his counsels, which there really wasn't any back and forth at all from the other counsel today. But this could be a big problem, because while Wright may be a subject matter expert in many of these areas, if the way the court works is they look at opinions from each of these experts. Now, let's say that a Madden report does get in and it says that these particular files are forged, and then Wright's expert comes in, he's not qualified, maybe he's not competent enough to challenge it, he doesn't rebut the presumption of the allegation from the Madden report. Even though Wright himself is rebutting it, if the expert doesn't rebut that, Wright's in big trouble. Wright's going to lose. All right, I'm just letting you know. That is a freaking fact. Now, this is the problem with attorneys. Big problem. Obviously, Wright's been through 2 rounds of attorneys, because when you don't understand strategy, and you're the guy right there, you're right. He may understand this strategy, he may not. I don't know how much freaking true, hardened. He's had a number of battles, but this is pretty advanced strategy right here. He's got to really get his head around this and realize that his experts have to rebut those other expert reports. And if they fail to do that in those reports, which I'm not privy to that stuff, if they fail to do that, he could be in big trouble. And this whole case can go to COPA. And literally, that's why I'm giving COPA day 3 on this fight right now, because this is serious news. Now, again, back to what I talked about yesterday. That doesn't mean Wright's out of the fight. It's not over. But I am saying that if he didn't rebut those allegations, now he has to rely on striking the testimony impeaching the witnesses and the credibility of the witnesses for COPA. The Madden report's got to be impeached. It's now he's now basically eliminated his chance of rebutting the allegations of the expert report. And now he's basically moving strictly into impeachment. So it basically just cuts off one of his defenses, if that's the case. So we'll see what happens. I want to just give you my overall feedback on this. Some other exciting things that happened, which was Wright claimed, he testified on the stand that he was actually roofied, or his drinks were spiked at an American Express black card event by Ayre Hansen. This is what he testified to. He's saying he was blacked out or pissed drunk at the event. He couldn't believe how wasted he was. His wife was commenting how shit-faced he got. He says, I was totally out of character. Now, realizing that Wright claims that apparently he also did this to Kyle Roche before, and then apparently that Ayre Hansen had bragged about it on either an interview out in Norway or some other court, in Norway. That's hearsay right now. That's what Wright's talking about. That's not submitted into this case yet, though. It's just supposedly public information, so maybe somebody could find that. And then in addition, Wright also testified that Ayre Hansen was fired by N-Chain, all right, and that any day now, criminal allegations will be brought against Ayre Hansen. He testified to that on the stand. That's a pretty serious claim to make, because I don't know how Wright has the right to determine if a government is going to charge Ayre Hansen criminally. That's a pretty bold statement. Now, maybe Wright's got a lot of information that we don't know about. I'm sure he does, but that's a very, I would say, it's a very bold statement. It's not something that, I was rather shocked to hear that Wright says that Ayre Hansen is going to be charged criminally any day now. That's just shocking to me, because how does Wright have control over that? How does he have any control over that? Unless he's filing some sort of an advanced Title 42, 1983, blending it with some sort of a Title 18 action, an advanced pleading style in federal district court in the United States. I mean, there are very, very complex, high-level ways to do that. And I mean, I wouldn't put it past Wright. The guy's a freaking genius. So we'll see. But, it's very unusual to see something like that. That's a really interesting nuance, though. See, Ayre Hansen, is potentially going to be, this is what Wright's testifying to. The other thing is, Wright also said that Kleiman turned down a $3.4 billion settlement offer inside the other case. He ended up settling. It was funny because it was actually rather funny because COPA asked if CSW had disclosed some of the forgeries, these other forgeries that he had brought in, that had been brought in into the Kleiman case. Okay. And he says, well, I told my solicitors about it. Whether they said they were forgeries or not, he didn't know. There was a lot of back and forth about the Tulip Trust. COPA claimed that Wright had altered all the documents in the Tulip Trust. Wright denied that he altered any of these documents. And apparently the Tulip Trust was actually set up in the 1990s. Tulip Trust Corporation, and he can prove that, apparently. He has documents on it. They were saying it was set up in the 2000s or after 2010. That seemed to be incorrect. Now, the other little nuance here was that in the Kleiman case, Wright claimed that he ended up paying, or he has a $140 million judgment against Kleiman against Kleiman. Now, he explained this. The attorney, COPA's attorney, kind of sleight of hand. He says, a 7-figure or an 8-figure judgment, Dr. Wright, isn't that terrible? That's awful. You lost an 8-figure judgment. And Wright stopped him. He said, whoa, wait a second. I got sued for $600 billion. $600 billion with a B. I'm paying out $140 million. That's less than 1%. Less than what? He said 1/10 of 1%. It's a very low number. He said, so this is a big win. And then also Wright had explained that the $140 million goes 1/3 to it's a company, W&W, I think goes 1/3 to his ex-wife, another third to his wife, and then 1/3 to Kleiman. And because his two wives are the ones in control of the corporation, they're voting to build a hospital in Kenya, and they're going to name it after Kleiman, the Dave Kleiman Hospital. So it'll be in his memory. But Kleiman wants to get the money in cash, and that's not going to happen because he's a shareholder. He's a 33% shareholder. So that was a little interesting nuance about the results of the Kleiman case and the $140 million. And then ultimately COPA just really, the attorney for COPA, he just kept hammering on when Wright would say these things, he would say, this was literally the line of the day. Dr. Wright, this is just another elaborate, wild fantasy of forgery and lies, lie after lie after lie after lie. Literally, this is the theory. Hey, I mean, and I got to give it to Wright, okay? If he is literally lying and making all this up on the stand, he's got an imagination with the best of them. I mean, this is unprecedented. He's an unprecedented act. Wow. That's what they're alleging, that all of these extremely complicated, plotted out plans and how things unfolded are just lie after fantasy of imaginary tales on some monumental level. This is the COPA story. So we are in a freaking exciting trial right now. We're going to day 5 tomorrow. It'll be day 4, but for sure, day 4 with day 3 here with Wright on the stand, going to COPA without a doubt. So the first 2 days went to Wright. This day went to COPA. So, and we're in a best of 6 coming up here. It looks like with Wright's going to be on the stand at least till Tuesday. So let's see how it plays out. We got 2 to Wright, 1 to COPA so far. That's where we're at. I will see you guys at the very top. Be sure to subscribe and share the video. Get the word out there. It's really, exciting to kind of give my perspective on this again, and also what happened with the strategy. You may want to watch that again at the beginning and how I explain the strategy as to what's really going on, why COPA won today, okay, and how Wright can actually be in trouble, okay, if his expert did not rebut the presumptions. The judge literally called him out on the stand today. Said, Wright, you need to focus on these opinions. Wright says, these aren't even opinions. They're not even qualified to be opinions, the Madden report, because he didn't go through and elaborate the test that he went through and the procedures and then identify the result that he went through. And also, these aren't even qualified to be opinions. And then the judge is correcting him. You need to focus on these opinions, Dr. Wright, because if they come in, I'm letting him in. If he does, you're in trouble. And if your experts aren't rebutting those, you're going to lose. All right, so a little warning there from the judge. It was very, very entertaining. Bloodbath in the courtroom, and Wright gets knocked against the wall and, got a few black eyes, that was for sure. But it was definitely interesting, and I'll see you guys at the top. Be sure to subscribe, hit the comment, and notification bells. Get this video out there, and if you really like this stuff, you can find my hand cash link in the description below for BSV tips. I'll see you at the top.